Hi, this is Brad Linder with Lilliputian, and I have here a box from Asus. I'm actually expecting a couple of different things from them, so let's see what we've got. Looks like we have a netbook. This would be the Eee PC 1215B, I believe. Yeah, 1215B. This netbook has, you can see this here, AMD E-350 dual-core processor, 320GB hard drive, 2 gigs of RAM, and it's black, has a 0.3 megapixel camera, 802.11bgn Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth 3.0, and a 6-cell battery. There's been a number of models coming out this year with the AMD E350, which is the AMD Fusion platform. And I've tested a few things so far. The HP Pavilion DM1Z, for instance, and it's a pretty good machine. Should be interesting to see how the Asus model compares. So inside the box you get pretty much what you're used to getting from a 11 or 12 inch notebook from Asus. We've got the relatively small charger. It's 2 pieces, not one, but still pretty small. Some information here: inspiring innovation, persistent perfection, etc., etc. This is a demo unit that Asus sent me to review, which I'll send back in a couple of weeks. So what you get with the retail packaging might be a little bit different. For instance, usually the battery comes packed separately. So let's take a look here and see what we've got. We've got VGA, HDMI, USB, SD card slot, and looks like a tiny power jack there. Nothing really on the back. Other side we've got another USB. Another USB, looks like possibly a USB 3.0 port there. So a total of 3 USB ports, including one that's USB 3.0, mic and headphone, Ethernet, and a lock. And nothing really on the front. On the bottom, let's see if I can adjust this here. On the bottom we've got a single axis panel, and it's got a sort of rubber foot here that's covering the screw. So one screw should open that up. Looks large enough that it could be the hard drive, but my guess is this is probably the RAM and maybe something else. The battery, pop out right here, and it is a 6-cell, 5200 milliamp hour, 56 watt-hour battery. Which doesn't want to go back in. Got a lot of plastic protecting the screen here and the keyboard. And another piece of plastic actually protecting the camera. And that pretty much does it. So the camera, this is something we've seen on a couple of other Asus models. You can actually go ahead and close the camera or turn it back on here. The touchpad area is kind of nice. You've got a sort of matte feel here. It's pretty smooth, but you've got these metal pieces on the end, so it's pretty easy to detect where the touchpad ends and the palm rest area begins. One large button below the touchpad, relatively attractive, but you press in the middle, nothing happens. I kind of prefer to have 2 separate buttons, so you don't run into that problem. And yet, it seems like you have to click pretty hard. The keyboard itself, pretty good. Looks like exactly what you've got on most other 12.1-inch models from Asus over the last couple of years. And this model, while 11.6-inch laptops are sort of all the rage these days, this one does have a 12.1-inch screen. It's a 1366 by 768 pixel display. Now, of course, the most important thing here is really going to be performance, and we'll go ahead and judge that a little bit later. From what I've seen, the AMD E-350 much faster in most tasks than an Intel Atom processor, and the AMD Radeon 6310 HD graphics should have no problem with 1080p video, DirectX 11, and some other video gaming tasks. It's not a high-end machine, you know, it's able to play some video games, but it's not necessarily going to be as fast as, say, an Alienware system or something that's along those lines. But for the price, you know, the AMD E350 and Radeon HD graphics do tend to pack a lot more power than you would normally get in a budget 12-inch or smaller notebook. This particular one, I don't have the price handy, but I believe it's under $500, somewhere in the $400 to $500 range. And again, it comes with 2 gigs of RAM, 320 gigabyte hard drive, and Windows 7 Home Premium instead of Windows 7 Starter Edition. Viewing angles, pretty good. It's got a glossy display, but it's not that hard to see from side to side. Things do tend to look like they wash out a little bit if you go too far. It doesn't open very wide. I know some people really like laptops that open to a very wide angle. That's as far as this one's going to go. And interestingly, this area here is matte. So you've got a glossy screen and a matte lid instead of vice versa. So, stay tuned to liliputing.com, and I'll have more details on the Asus Eee PC 1215B after I've had more time to test the performance, battery life, and overall usability of this laptop. This is Brad Linder with Liliputing.